Thank you for having me on your show. I am so excited. This was so much fun. I wish all podcasts could be like this and do the work that you've done and the games that you play. By far my favorite one.
You're listening to the Occupational Philosophers with Simon Banks and John Rice.
Hello and welcome to the Occupational Philosophers, a not-so-serious business podcast that mashes up the world of creativity, curiosity, with a healthy dose of philosophy thrown in. Each and every week I'm joined by my co-host over in the UK, John Rice. Hello, John, and what's caught your curious eye this week?
Hey, Simon. What's got my curious eye this week is the Edinburgh Fringe Festival Best Jokes Award. I always keep an eye out for this.
Yeah.
Always makes me chuckle seeing all of the flights of fancy, imagination, wordplay and puns, of which I absolutely love. So I thought I'd just share some of my favourites and make sure that I attribute those to the appropriate comedians. So I'm going to work backwards to number one. I'm going to share all of them. I'm going to share 5 of my favourites. The first one is by Sophie Duker, who says, Keir Starmer, he looks like an AI-generated image of a substitute teacher. Then I've got this one from Olaf Falafel, who says, the conspiracy theory about the moon being made of cheese was started by the Illuminati. It gets better. Well, they're all good. My partner told me she'd never seen the film Gaslight. I told her she definitely had. We're nearly there. And at number 2, I've been taking salsa lessons for months, but I just don't feel like I'm progressing. It's just 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And then the out-and-out winner, that was Alex Snook, by the way.
Okay.
The previous one was Zoe Coombs-Marr. And then the winner is Mark Simmons. I was going to sail around the globe in the world's smallest ship, but I bottled it.
Boom, boom. All right. These are good. I've already read these. And so nice to hear them again. So, yeah, very good.
How about you, Simon? What's caught your curious eye?
Well, John, I was Googling. I was trying to find out when was there a moment in time when, let's say, caveman came to some sort of enlightenment, if that's the right space, and realized there was more to life than just him or herself, or however you might say it. But anyway, I didn't find the answers, but that I started thinking, what are some of the most stupid things that people might type into Google? And here they are. Here's some of them. How do I make a time machine out of household items? Well, you're going to have, what do you call it? Silver foil, alfoil, number 1.
Definitely silver foil.
Okay.
Yeah. And a sink plunger.
Yeah. Another one. Can I get pregnant if I touch a pregnant person? Now, here's what I'm thinking. If you've got the knowledge to type that into how to use your fingers to type in a question, something's gone wrong in your education system. Anyway, a few more. How do I take care of an invisible dog?
Yes.
And can you make toast in a microwave? Surely not. Like, come on.
We've all tried that.
I know, but it's just heated bread. Okay. Anyway, and last but not least, and this is quite a philosophical question. If I eat myself, would I become twice as big or disappear completely? Isn't that philosophy, really?
So straight away, I am thinking where you'd start. The logic seems to be that you'd start at your toe and work your way up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting bigger as you go. I wonder if there is a big/eaten continuum where you get as big as you can, having eaten as much as yourself while still being alive or something. You know what I mean? Like there's a Venn diagram.
Further research is needed.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, again, there's a whole new podcast in this, Simon.
Absolutely.
We follow these questions and find out what the answers are to these
Next time we have a philosopher on, we'll ask that question. So.
Yeah. We setting aside those questions, we've got a guest episode, Simon, which is always exciting. Who is the curious cat we have with us this week?
Well, John, always exciting. Our guest has a career that it has been an adventurous journey spanning 3 decades and various corners of the world. She started as an inner-city classroom teacher and later became a middle school technology specialist, where she embraced inner playfulness as well as fixing and breaking the computers and network, like all good IT people. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Through serendipity and curiosity, she evolved into the VP of all things fun, meaningful, and rewarding at a then startup called Salesforce. Her path then took her through the vibrant landscapes of Atlanta, San Francisco, Singapore, and Sydney, venturing into the realms of technology and corporate foundation leadership with the Salesforce and Workday Foundations. Afterwards, having landed in Australia, our guest has led Telstra's corporate startup accelerator, muru-D, which I hope I've said that right, where she managed a team and portfolio over 140 companies, focusing on supporting the founders across various cohorts. She is now the Chief Play Officer at Playful Purpose, where she embraces the power of an improv mindset to foster growth and playful spirit amongst adults. She co-designs and facilitates dynamic workshops for accelerators, portfolio funds, and corporate teams, helping participants unleash curiosity, build confidence, and deepen their understanding of DEI and empathy. Her passion for new technologies and continuous learning blends artificial intelligence with the pride improv, which we will ask about later. Give a huge round of applause to our guest, Julie Trell. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. So great to be here.
Julie.
So what's caught your curious eye this week?
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to drop the name of another podcast, but I feel like I'm on No Such Thing as a Fish with your curious takings, not to mention the accents. So I love that question. What's got you curious today? Such a much better question than what do you do?
Yeah.
And this morning, I was walking my dog, Hershey. It's her name, her pronouns, and her coloring, chocolate. And I was walking her. She always teaches me a lot. She sniffs, she stops, she looks around. I'm always curious what she's thinking and letting her lead me. Granted, she also has me very well trained. And today there was a myna bird that swooped her. And, I don't know how the birds work here in Australia. I don't know if it was protecting the eggs of a nest, but the way I thought about it with my improv mindset is like, this bird wants to play with this dog. And it was like a flirtation. Let's play together. Now, Hershey is partial to magpies, so I don't know if she really paid attention to what was going on, but I was just watching the playfulness. I framed it as this bird wants to play. And I went out there a couple times today, and that bird did come and swooped Hershey. So I was just birds playing in the wild in my neighborhood.
You might have been terrifying that bird, but hey, if it's
Yeah, look, I was all about this is about play. Johnny, I'm in Paddington, New South Wales, Sydney, Australia.
Okay. Paddington. So you have Paddington there as well, don't you?
Yes.
We have London Paddington.
Yes.
And that's in Sydney. Is that
It
Sydney?
is in Sydney.
It is in Sydney. Very nice. What can you see out the window today?
What can I see out the window? I see.
I'm assuming you have a window and you're not in a basement.
I do. I have this whole wall is one window. And so what I see, it's my patio that needs a washing. It's been very windy, so a plant had fallen down, but there is a beautiful view of trees. It's springtime here. The leaves are growing back, and a nice table waiting to have coffee and celebration of whatever out on the patio.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Julie, we are always curious when we meet someone for the first time, and we've decided to throw a dinner party for you. So, settle into your seat. I'm just going to pop open and I've got a lot of, what should we go for? I think Malbec. I think I'm going to go for Malbec. But you might choose something different, obviously, so let me know, and I'll bring the sommelier over to change the order. And rather than the normal, hello, what do you do for a living type of questions, what's giving you joy at the moment, Julie?
Well, my dog, my COVID 4-year-old dog is certainly giving me joy, keeping me on my toes. She's got me exceptionally well trained. So she does give me joy. And you know what? Also, those workshops, so Simon and I were just talking about an improv AI in the park that I've been co-facilitating, where it's just come and hang out in the park. we're going to do AI, which stands for Applied Improv. And people bring their challenges, things they're working on, and everyone gets together. And the connectiveness and the new friends that are made really give me a lot of joy. So there's that spark, and anything that has to do with people seeing the power of this simplest, basic improv principle of yes and brings me so much joy. I just did a workshop and it was like, oh my God.
So this is a workshop, not a performance.
Correct.
You're not in a improv troupe. This is actually engaging people who are in the workshop and saying, okay, let's create something.
Yeah.
And we'll find out more about it as we go.
Okay,
yeah.
so.
Okay.
And is this like competition to, you have park run? You've got like park play and you see them go past losers or something like is it?
We're all lifting each other up, but I would love to do like kind of flash mob improv, come and just show up and play. And that's really what it is. We don't know what's expected. We have a very slight framework or agenda. And then whoever shows up are the right people who show up, and the right activities we get to play and are offered.
Nice. Now,
flash mob improv. I think they call that rioting in the
UK. You get arrested if you are seen having fun in the park in England. So that was outlawed in 1924. So after the fun riots on Clapham Common. Now, do you have a hobby you lose yourself in? And I might say outside of what you just suggest, outside of your improv in the park, which sounds amazing.
Okay. I was a former arts and craft camp counselor, inspired by my second grade teacher. She was also an arts counselor. So I love to do stuff and make things. So my latest is making flowers out of toilet paper rolls. So these are, who gives a crap, toilet paper rolls. I have a whole closet full of them. And I cut them up, and everyone needs a glue gun, and I make flowers out of toilet paper rolls.
Obviously, we are audio only, but for those listening, Julie just shared one of her designs, and it looked pretty spectacular, actually, didn't it?
I think you need to take a photo of those
offcuts of bog rolls,
and we'll put it in the show notes. They're very cool.
I have some pictures to it. I mean, they were also house guests, like a house gift. So a friend of mine, I stayed over at a house in Avoca, and instead of bringing wine, neither of us were really drinking much. I gave her flowers, like a bouquet of flowers that will last forever.
I suspect that they might be best placed in the toilet and the smallest room in the house to give it a sort of bit of
zhuzh, a little bit on the nose.
I think they could go anywhere. My wife's a florist, so I've got a very high level of expectation. They're awesome. Yeah.
But I literally have a full closet of them. I can't throw them out. It's just something in me. I save a lot of things. I'm a bit of a pack rat.
Okay.
Could you start a little business? Could you go down the market on a weekend and start setting up a stall with those?
John, with my ADHD menopausal brain, that's one of the many, many, many things that I've thought of. So the answer is yes. And look for me at the Paddington markets next time you come to Sydney.
Yeah. Fantastic. So obviously you draw inspiration from very different places there, drawing inspiration from toilet rolls, but who or what inspires you right now?
So I love this question as well. And it's not just one person right now. I have been doing a weekly #MentorLove blog post on LinkedIn once a week, and I'm on week 39. So it's been a challenge to myself to do this every week, to write about a mentor or someone who has had influence or impact in my life. And I pull out 3 key learnings from them. I'll tell a story. Yes, I use a little bit of artificial intelligence to help me put the words in the order that I want them to be in the order of. But it's a gratitude practice. So I do it for partially myself when I'm feeling like crap during the week. Oh my God, I have to do this. I have to do this. And once I do it, it's a gratitude practice. And I have everyone from my second grade teacher, my mom, Hershey, a Holocaust survivor that I had the pleasure of meeting, improv teachers, fellow former teachers, a surf icon, Lane Beachley, who's a friend of mine, Kennedy O'Dady, who grew up in a slum, and he is in Kenya, and he's now impacted 1 million people in his community from what he's done. People I've met in the community, people who have hired me, and I have a couple of blog posts on the anti-mentor. Those who I've learned from, who have been bullies at work, who have been terrible bosses, who have been am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
high performing assholes, that I've had to fire, those kind of things. So all of these different mentors have shaped me in some sort of way. And at the end of the year in 52 weeks, I hope to have some beautiful something or other. But this came out of the idea that it came out of was there was this survey that was taken in the startup ecosystem and asking what mentor would you recommend? And at the end of it, what came out were 6 white guys, which shows the lack of diversity, what was happening. That's the side point. What the question should have been was, what mentor, what behaviors, what values, what mindsets have mentors have in your life that have shaped you? So instead of just complaining about the outcome, I decided to do something about it and do this series called Mentor Love on LinkedIn.
Mentor Love. I love this.
Well, if you've got a spot
I'm very,
for episode
very
48, John and I will gladly slide in. But I would move the question about the arseholes,
Can I just?
We might be on the wrong list.
I was just going to say, I was just thinking about if you were in an organization, they say, hey, we're coming up with an anti-mentor scheme. You've been nominated.
Well, so fair enough. But what I actually did was I learned from the behavior and what it taught me.
Yeah.
So they are there. They are there for lessons and learnings. Easier said weeks, months, years later, but they were definitely things that I learned from.
Okay. So if you're on that list, hey, pull your socks up. Now, diving into we've almost at dessert time now, so the main course has gone very quickly. What are you curious about right now, or what big question are you wrestling with?
I am wrestling with the challenge, the conundrum of applying for jobs where you're told to go out and be yourself, be unique, but we have these ATS, the application tracking systems, which will want to put everyone in a box. So we're told to be ourselves, yet we have to put in a box to play the game, to get through these systems, to be heard. And it's this challenging, frustrating conundrum of, the universe saying, Julie, you got to do your own thing. You're not going to fit in these boxes. And people telling me you need to make your LinkedIn look like this or change your titles. You read my titles, I think. VP of all things fun, meaningful, and rewarding, real true title, Chief Play Officer. They do real things and they make for great dinner conversation versus I'm the manager of philanthropy.
Yeah.
I'm the head of Brown and Carr.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm a project manager.
Yeah. No offense to any project managers, but
I was going to say, I think you've alienated both our listeners.
I always laugh with that one. You Graham Norton, when people go and sit in his chair and they go, what do you do? And he goes, everyone goes, I'm a project manager. And just a look on his face all the time. And he goes, ooh, that sounds exciting. And the person just sits there and doesn't know what to say. But I appreciate it's a lot more to it.
Yeah, but you know what?
There was one.
Here's where we can ask your listeners to play the game. How could you reframe or reword what a project manager does or is?
This goes to the heart of another big question. How do you get people excited about what you do? Because if you're a project manager, you do way more stuff than, manage projects. Would you not think? Yeah. I would say you'd be the chief play person, the chief. Anyway, I'm going to.
Juggler of knives, balls, and ice cubes with a.
That's it.
Fire.
Wait a second. How big's this business card going to be?
Yeah, very long. Yeah.
Mind you, that's very analog. Business cards.
Exactly.
There you go. Showing me age again. How would you describe what you do now? What are, as it were, the intersections where you play?
So I remind adults how to play, how to get into flow, be adaptable, all the words that you use, curious. And the goal, what I want to stay away from, the goal is that what I do is not about having fun. Who am I to define what fun is for you? If you happen to have fun, that's on you. That's a beautiful, unexpected side effect. So I remind people how to play because remember when we were younger and you go out and you play kickball on your front yard and you're till the sun goes down and you're just in flow and playing with your friends and you're not thinking about other things. You're letting things go. It's that the prefrontal dorsal, whatever, the cortex up here, that's that oh shit part of your brain that cuts things off. It's like, don't do that. You're going to look stupid. my, imposter voice is sitting over there. But when you're in play, and they've done this with improvisers, jazz improvisers or rappers, and put them in an MRI and checked out their brain when they were improvising and in flow, that part of the brain just is shut off. So it's not cutting you off. It's letting you play and be in flow and be curious and find solutions. And so that's what I like to do with adults, with founders, with corporate teams, and watching that light bulb go on. That's why I went into teaching, was that light bulb go on for when people learn things and they get it.
And is that that state of flow? Of course, you naturally might associate it with opening then people up to being curious and innovative and creative, etc. But presumably it could lead you into better outcomes in a variety of scenarios, couldn't it? Not just about when you're in a design meeting or something. It must be just something that just opens up possibilities in problem solving, conversations about culture, whatever it is. It's not just about, and now we're going to do some design, or now we're going to create something.
It's about solving problems. Why isn't that feature working? Why did that bug show up? I've also used it when I was running the accelerator. We would do 3 minutes at 3. So at 3 o'clock, a different person had a game or an activity to lead us in, because 3 o'clock is kind of when you're slumping down. And we would play games. And I remember I had my lawyer in there, and she was in not the greatest of moods, but she was very willing to play. And she came up and we played Zen poetry, and it got everyone giggling. So that play state gets people out of like the cranky mood and to go back and be more productive.
3 minutes at 3. What did people think on their work output or their afternoon drive? Or because, as you said, 3 p.m. sort of like the dip in the afternoon, if that's the right thing. So what was the feedback like?
Well, like I said, we were giggling and laughing. It got people out of the state of this that they were in. And 3 minutes at 3 could be anything from turning on the music, Taylor Swift or what have you, and dancing for 3 minutes and looking as silly as you possibly could. Throwing wrapped up, crinkled up paper into a basket, sitting silent for 3 minutes. People would start to get creative and like, what can I do at 3 o'clock to be different? And, it just shifted things.
And would you do that every day?
We tried. Yes. That habit. Try to create that habit. Yeah.
There must have been some people thinking, I got to get out of here. It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to be made to do something. Kevin from accounts was going, oh no, here comes Julie.
Kevin from accounts was the best. You'd be surprised at the accountants.
John, Kevin from accounts. So.
Just on that note as well, there was, I remember Professor Sophie Scott, who's a neuroscientist, and she was talking about this. We talked about laughter being a sort of gateway into play. And that was quite interesting, is that the humor unlocks something and puts people in the right state for play. And then play then leads on to the abilities for people to be creative or more creative and likely to be more curious and open, etc. You observe that same thing.
Yeah. And
you just see it in action every time.
Yeah. And it's different than being funny. So when people hear improv, like, oh, I got to be funny. And that's not what it's about. And I like how you said it's laughter first, which then brings you into play.
Yeah, there's these things. And Peter Lovett, I mean, he saw movement and dance as being one of the other things that can lead into these states of flow and curiosity and creativity. So, yeah, there's some common themes, I think, run through some of the stuff we're learning now. And it's interesting to see about the MRI, what lights up, and that idea that the filter doesn't light up, so it's not engaged with. So people just let go.
There's a documentary on it with Colin Mochries in it, and I'll make sure that I send you the link. It's a really good Act Social, I think, the name of the documentary. And they talked to a whole bunch of improvisers about the science of the body, the physical. And I loved it so much. I was taking notes while I was watching it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's okay. It's a documentary. If it was a soap opera, that'd be different.
Hey, Ridge just looked at Thorn with an eye. I like that. And, oh no, that's his wife.
Colin Mochrie, he's one of the original Whose Line Is It Anyway guys, isn't he? Is he Canadian?
He is Canadian. I got to meet him.
He is Canadian.
He was one of the speakers at the Applied Improv Network in Vancouver. So I have one of my Ignite talks is a picture with him.
Yeah. So that applied improv then, that is something outside of you. This is a bigger movement then?
Oh, yeah.
And you've got such a great Rolodex already. You're like, you
Dropping names left and right.
Beachley, and I've got now, so
Boom.
you're just rapping with Barack Obama, I mean, Beyonce, you go, yo. So
Not yet, but yeah.
That's on its way.
Move in that direction.
Yeah. No, the Applied Improv Network, it's a global movement group community of people who use improv to teach. And, AI, what I call the other AI, it's amazing. Some people are improviser stage performers. I do not consider myself a stage performer, although I don't mind being on stage. I like to produce and direct. And so this has been hard, like what I'm getting over. I talk about improv all the time, but I'm not an improviser. But great people that are teaching, a lot of them are facilitators. And that's what I learned from. So it's in that teaching space. And what I love about the term facilitator, it's the guide on the side, not the sage on the stage. And that's how I like to play and learn from others. And it's listening, it requires a lot of active listening. And going up to this Applied Improv Network, I got involved with it during COVID online. And I'd get up at 6 a.m. to do the open spaces activities on Zoom. I loved it so much. And I decided to go up there. And I'm like, oh my God, these are my people. They yes-anded, they were arts and craftsy. You could have conversations. They moved. It wasn't this, so what do you do? It was this beautiful playing with what you do.
It's been a great dinner party, but you've been talking about applied improv. Now, is this mashup of your tech career, which is AI, and applied improv, which is the other AI, is that sort of all mashed up together? What does that look like in your current space with your background?
Yeah. I've always liked new technology, and I got involved with this watching how ChatGPT works. And if you really think about what ChatGPT and what the LLMs, the large language models, are doing, it's the same thing what improvisers are doing. So you put in a prompt, like an audience member will shout out a scenery or a relationship, and the improvisers will make something up from what they have in their brain, their LLM. It's exactly what the LLMs do with the technology, with the data that they have. And so you're just seeing how that not losing our humanity and knowing that we can do, it still can do the same thing. Similarly, what the LLMs do. And I use it to teach how it all works. I teach using how the bias can show up in LLMs because, the actor on stage will pull from his or her own experiences. And then I decided to start playing some games with ChatGPT, and I've created some GPTs, and just seeing how it comes up and helps me think and gives me ideas, and learning a lot about the ethics of, the power of, the safety of, and all of the things that needed without losing our humanity as humans to not think anymore. And we still need to be critical thinkers and logical thinkers in order to prompt well.
Yeah. Just you saying that, I love that LLM in our brains or in their brains. So I think you see that. That's a generative applied improv, I think I noted you saying.
I did.
A network of brains all sort of just doing, as you say, what AI is doing, which is to go and find and then assimilate and bring something forward that's new, potentially.
And I've been afraid of us losing our critical thinking skills. As a former classroom teacher, when Dogpile was out, so Dogpile predating Google was a search engine. And, people just reading and believing everything they see online, which is now even harder to delineate what's real and what's not. So I want to make sure people don't lose that we can still remain to be human and play and come up with their own ideas.
I'm reading a book at the minute which references Daniel Kahneman, and he's all about thinking, fast thinking, slow thinking, whatever. And the quote that just came to mind there, which is, we've got to make sure we don't lose our critical thinking capacities, Julie, as he says, thinking is to humans as swimming is to cats. They can do it, but they prefer not to. So there we go. Thank you, Daniel. And rest in peace. I know that he's sadly passed away just, I think, in recent months. But great thinker.
Well, look, on that, John, I think we're going to wrap up our dinner party. We'll call the Uber, and thank you so much for joining us. Just for the first round.
I'm not ready to go. I want the tequila. I brought a bottle of tequila. Good stuff.
Okay. Let the games commence. So, Julie, we're about to now just explore a little bit more about your take on creativity and curiosity. creativity, imagination, all the work that you do as CEO, founder of Playful Purpose. And maybe a good place to start is with your quotation, which is play is the future of work. That sounds like the perfect place to start. So fire away. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, thing is, it really should be play is the past, present, and future of work. We need to bring play into us after we stopped being a kid to our adult ages. And play sometimes could be a very dirty word in the corporate space, in the big world. I just did a workshop. We talked about this AI in the park, where I had some people come and we played games. And one of the women made a comment. She goes, it was highly sophisticated process, which is how I think I need to reframe play to get to those people that are like, can't do play. But play means a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean just, the ping pong table in the startup world or the slide down in, I think Box had a slide in their office where they went down. It means just getting into flow, and it is a highly sophisticated process.
I love this. This chimes a little bit with the recent topic we were chatting about, Simon, which was that liberating structures.
Yeah.
Which is all about how certain processes can help unlock creativity, curiosity, and imagination. If you put people in the right environment, of course, you need the psychological safety and the trust, but then you can have them follow a process. And you're absolutely right. Play can be very highly sophisticated. It has to have, sometimes games, they have boundaries, don't they? And rules to play by, but they allow you then to do great things within that sandbox. And that's part of the joy of it. So it becomes sophisticated because it's got to be designed in a certain way in some regards. Is that true? Is that the kind of thought you had on this?
Yeah, you give the framework, the guidelines, and I love that you use the word sandbox and game. Sometimes I have to reframe it for exercise or activity, which fits more in that corporate until we can start peeling it back. But essentially, we're planning. Here are the rules. Here's the guidelines. Here's the framework. Color outside the lines. See what boundaries you can push. Because sometimes people don't know where to start and just come up with things. If I said, here's a toilet paper roll, make something out of it, versus here's a little bit of a structure what you can do and make it up as you go along, which I might feel a little hypocritical saying this because sometimes I always need to follow the directions perfectly and recipes perfectly. And I said, Julie, you're an improviser. Make stuff up. You don't have that ingredient. Try something else. Or
chocolate
it's okay
pasta. Just do it, man. Yeah.
ChatGPT, is this okay?
Yeah.
Imagine, just as you said about a toilet roll holder again, I can imagine people in that workshop sort of looking through it saying, it's a telescope. And you're there sort of snipping away, creating the flowers.
Yeah.
Going,
this out,
how the hell did you get to that?
Yeah.
Well, you need other people in the room saying, that's awesome. Like, yes, and not judging them. Because that's what happens. That's why we shut down. That's when we stop playing, when we get that judgment of ourselves and of other people that are going to, say, that's not a telescope. You're going to stop and you get shut down.
So at the heart of play, and I use the yes and a lot, obviously coming from my days in the theatre society at university, I learned a little bit about the power of the yes and. Now,
such a thespian.
I know. On a side note, I went to a Christian university and I had very long hair at the time. So I was like regular Jesus pretty much in every play. Yeah. And I was in a documentary where I was baptized by John the Baptist in a river. So I'm out there a bit. So you think, Jesus looks familiar. Simon Banks. Anyway.
Did you ever feel like you were getting typecast, Simon?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I cut my hair and my rolls dried up, John. So no one wants a short-haired Jesus, I'm telling you. Anyway, where are we going with this? Okay, that yes and. So I use it a lot, and I love that ability how it opens up to look for what's positive first if you think around that and continue it on. Do you think that almost comes first? It's around the language that you use or the mindset you take in. Does that even become before you say play, or would play come before the language, or how might those two work together?
Oh, it's chicken and egg thing, but the yes and, I think if that's an easier thing to get, start saying yes and. And what yes and is yes, I hear you, I accept, I might not agree, I accept, and I'm going to add to it. And there's another little thing that I add in, which is even more magical, is yes, what I like about that is, so when you're in a conversation or even a disagreement or something you completely don't really get behind, if you force yourself to find one little thing about whatever has been offered, whatever's been said, that person is going to feel heard, that you're going to have more connection. So part of when I play the yes and game, I say, yes, what I like about that is, and then and add to it. So it's an acceptance, it's a being heard, it's feeling heard and moving on. And I have had founders come to me saying, that is magical. My company is more productive. We are happier. And it's been really magical to watch that happen.
Yeah.
So it's, yes, to finish that question, to answer it, it's practice with that language. And then the mindset, it makes it easier and more in flow and more genuine and honest.
I like it when I use that a lot. So I always give to someone, you hear something, especially in the space of ideas, innovation, all of that sort of the new, always going with, here's what I like about what you just said, and then follow up with, I wonder. And I find that works really well because then you just give here's what I liked, and you go, I wonder, have you thought of this? And it's like a really nice question to follow up with, rather than you would experience this, the Australian feedback is, it's pretty shit, mate. And everyone, moves on to the next thing. So I really like that I wonder, and I see it works so well. And again, feedback has been that I wonder has completely changed our meeting culture. Rather than we all get in the room and give each other a hard time, we sort of look for what we like first.
Could it work, Julie, do you think, if I said, yes, what I like about that is that idea is so bad that anything I say is going to sound really good?
You're playing the devil's advocate. That would shut me down. That would shut me down. You could try it. I invite you to try that. Yes, what I like about it is how you're thinking and using to twist the words. And I wonder how that will land in your next meeting.
You see why our podcast is so fractured with John, and he goes like that all the time. So
not so serious, Simon. Not so serious.
I like your question. One of my favorite quotes is from David Augsburger. He says, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. So all these tips and tricks, I wonder what I like about that. And I know that's one of my healings for whatever traumas I have. But he wrote a book called, it's a long book, Caring Enough to Hear and Be Heard, How to Hear and How to Be Heard in Equal Communication.
And if you can remember that,
punchy.
he's got 3 book covers to have to fold out.
He's got being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable.
That's a lovely quote.
A1 size coffee book.
Yeah.
Just put 4 legs on that book and you do have a coffee table.
Yeah.
I like reading on your bio, and we've mentioned a little bit of it before, through serendipity, which is one of my favorite words, and curiosity, you evolved into the VP of all things fun, meaningful, and rewarding at a then startup called Salesforce. How? Tell us that story. That just sounds so cool. And far away.
Yeah. Well, back to serendipity. I love that word too. But someone said to me, some, white male, lovely gentleman, it's like, don't use the word serendipity. You made it happen. And I understand what he was trying to come at, but the stars aligned and I took what was given to me and ran with it. So I happened to be on a trip in Israel, and this guy who was in 1998, and this guy who was thinking of starting this new company that was going to sell software over the web. Now, let's remember in 1998, we were still getting the AOL CDs sent to us to install. And he was going to sell software over the web. That was one thing. But he also wanted to bridge the digital divide. And me being a teacher working in inner city Atlanta and inner city schools, I'm like, this really excites me. And he wanted to start this company. He was going to make lots of money. And I said, Mark, if you're going to deal with kids and technology, bridging the digital divide, you need to hire teachers. Don't just be a company that gives away money. And that was me and all my 28-year-old wisdom saying, if you're going to start this bridge the digital divide, hire teachers. Little did I know that was my interview. And he said, why don't you move from Atlanta to San Francisco to help me start the Salesforce Foundation? And that's where it all began in making it happen.
And how many people strong was Salesforce at the time?
There were probably 115 people in Salesforce. There were 2 or 3 of us in the foundation. This was in 2000. So I moved to San Francisco. And what was great about this was, talk about improv. There wasn't anything created yet. There wasn't the Pledge 1%. We actually started the 1-1-1 model is what it was called, in the Pledge 1%. There wasn't a framework yet. So we could make it up as we went along. And there wasn't, what I love about it, the other reason why I like these first in innovators is there's no one to be compared to.
Yeah.
So you can set it up, create it, test it, try it, and also having leaders that are willing to take these kind of risks and get behind you and in front of you made it really exciting to create what we did.
And are you still in contact with Mark Benioff? Is that is that his name, if I got that right?
Yeah. I mean, am I in contact with him? He'll may or may not respond to my emails. He does know who I am. I mean, he did hire me, so I'm on there. He's got a lot of other people under his doing the amazing stuff that they're doing.
And still in the Rolodex.
The reason I'm asking that is this company is so huge. Like, how many people would you? Because it's like saying I got in the beginning at Microsoft or something. Like, this is huge. Like,
yeah. Unfortunately, fortunately, for whatever the way you want to look at it, we were a separate legal entity, so it didn't get the early stock.
Okay, so, sure.
But I did get the experience. I did get the people. I got the network. Unfortunately, the bank doesn't take my, all the love that I've gotten.
We guessed you didn't get the stock, Julie, because otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Yes, I would.
Maybe.
Oh, bless you. Even if you were a multi-billionaire, you'd still could turn up and have a chat with me and Simon. That's very cool.
When I win the lottery, John, I'm still coming on here. I won't tell you that I've won the lottery or make the billions. I would still love to do exactly what I'm doing right now.
That's delightful to hear. Hey, look, I'm going to switch topic here because as I was reading around some of your work, I was particularly taken by a phrase that you coined recently called curiosity, which is a blend of curiosity and creativity. And it's one of those words I went immediately go, oh yeah, that's a great portmanteau word. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and how has that developed since you coined that phrase in your mind?
Well, it's somewhat recent. I was on a Zoom call with a bunch of women speakers and we went around the Zoom room talking, like introducing ourselves. It was later. And again, my menopausal undiagnosed ADHD brain had 2 words coming out at once. And I was stumbling over my introduction and everyone's like, oh my God, I love that word. So herein, when we say mistakes are gifts, this was a beautiful gift that happened. And, just to be unique and something different and not your typical traditional words, it's been fun how it's come up. I got a blog post out of it so far.
Yeah. Well, all good ideas to start somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely a keynote there as well. But yeah, I think you were saying about asking questions, exploring the unknown, even the known, and daring to create something new. So you kind of started to put something around that, which I think is really interesting. And I think you've called it a superpower. So it's something that organizations, individuals, and teams might harness more frequently.
Yeah. And you made me think the other thing, applied improv or improv itself is another form of mindfulness. So when I do some of my workshops, you have mindfulness sitting quiet, and I do a mindfulness activity before my workshop, but I don't have people shut their brain off. I have people listen and pay attention and notice. I also invite them to sit wherever they want. In my last workshop, one woman went and stood by the window where there was a ray of sun. One guy's like, can I lay down? I'm like, yes. That's playful. And I have them listen to all the things, is there an air condition going? Are there birds outside? Can you hear the traffic? One guy was able to smell the carpet, have them tap into all of their senses.
He was lying face down. Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't the guy on the carpet. He was not the guy lying down the carpet.
Right.
So just tapping in.
He'd been to one of our dinner parties.
Exactly. It's just tapping into all the different senses that we have to start to notice these little things. So that's one form of mindfulness. The other kind of moving mindfulness is your yogas, your surfing, your running, you're in your head, you're being thoughtful and contributing. And then the collaborative mindfulness is improv, is listening to your partner and sharing and playing those games back and forth. And did I answer the question? Now I went way off topic. I had a reason.
Oh, perfect for this podcast. We don't know what we're talking about, so wine.
Thank you.
I'm interested with your work in the tech startup space with Telstra and muru-D. Muru-D. Was the basis of this work starting to kick off then? Like was it sort of, was play and fun and applied improv in that space already, and you didn't know it or you did know it? How did it all intersect?
Love this question. Love this question. I moved countries, continents, and even sectors. So I was not really a startup leader founder, but I came to Australia and I'm like, I'm going to turn up my play. I'm going to show up who I am. It's always been something that I have loved. So at muru-D is an Indigenous word for pathway forward, just to share where that came from. And the room where I inherited or where I came into was very, very colorful. It had all these great cubes like you'd see in kindergarten. And I just decided, since nobody knew me, I could put on a new persona. But it wasn't a new persona. It was a persona that was inside me. I could be myself. And so I got up there and I changed all the names of the conference rooms to games. We had a giant playroom. We had one room that was called the Lego room, and I had Legos in there. And we used it to interview the founders, the tech founders that would come into the program. It was a big boot camp. You went into speed dating of mentors, and you had to do all these interviews. But in the Lego room, it was myself and someone else. And we challenged or invited the founders to come in, play with Lego. And we said, okay, you have 3 minutes, choose 7 blocks and make a duck. There was no other instructions, to see how many people would think outside the box. And then the remaining time, 15 minutes, we would say something like, design a playground or a space that will look like the world in 5 years because of your startup. So we would watch the founders play, how they worked with one another, how they had conversation, what they thought like. So it was really a behavioral question to watch how they performed and how they showed up. And then the other fun thing, the founders were in there, they'd stay there. They could stay there all night. Some of them, I get a picture at 3 a.m. with some of the founders. They had piled all these cubes up that were actually chairs and made a giant throne. And I was like, look, we made the throne of games. And I just loved it. Like someone else was like, what are you doing there at 3 a.m. playing? And I'm like, great. They're taking on what I have offered and allowed them. And then one other story was when there's a bunch of executives were sent to go and doing this week-long workshop, which was great. It was a lot of team building and learning about one another. And I was new. I was probably maybe 3 months in. And a lot of these people at Telstra had been there for years, decades. And I showed up, and anytime we had to do an activity, read this case study and report back. And I said, let's read this, and we're going to present it back in the form of a live human PowerPoint. And it was great. They loved it. It was like the 5 of us were going to be, do something as a PowerPoint. We would create what looked like a graph or an image. And then one person would present on this slide of humans, but really the PowerPoint we see here. And they would give the information and they would say, click. And then we would return to another slide. And they loved it. So anytime anyone was in my group, I was like, what kind of game can we play to redesign this? And they loved it. By the end of the week, we had to do a wrap up, a conversation, some of those videos of how was your week? And, they look these very boring, under duress type videos. And my group, including the chief head of legal, they ended up doing a conga line to demonstrate what they've learned. And it was funny, 3 people came up to us like, oh, that conga line was so your idea. That was you. And I'm like, nope, wasn't me. So just being there and offering this little things, a safe place to play, people got into it.
What I like about what you're saying, and I think all of us have a creative, playful soul inside us, which goes right back to that piece when you were a kid. if you provide the right environment, the right space for that to come out. And I think that's so much at the heart of being more playful and creative, is just allow people to do what they were born to do and take away some of those boundaries, which I know is a bit like, oh, what's going to happen? Am I going to look foolish? But if you just provide a safe space, good things happen, isn't it? Like, good things happen, conga lines happen. At the end of it, people go, yeah, that shit was cool. And all you've done really is to say it's okay to do that stuff. It's that little bit of permission, and all of a sudden great things happen.
Yeah. Permission and no judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
No judgment. That's when you get a CCO, the Chief Conga Officer,
Yeah.
emerges in the organization. Just maybe a final question here, Julie, is just, so I can see that in certain environments, people absolutely engage. What about where you do get, as it were, play skeptics, people who don't think this kind of idea of play and productivity mix in some way? How do you kind of sort of approach those scenarios?
I'm still working on that one, to be honest. I'm still working on that one. And so I try and go for the lowest hanging fruit, the ones who get it. And then they see it, they feel it, they taste it, if we're going to use, and then they're like, oh, that was fun. And they'll tell someone else. I actually had someone that used to work for me, and I would always bring improvisers in and work with the founders. And this guy also went and did the play games, and he's now at a different company. And I reached out to him. I'm like, could you connect me with people? I want to do more play and games. And he came back to me and he was like, this is a really hard email to write. I love you and I like your work, but play is it's not important for me. I don't think this is work. It's not my thing. I'll introduce you, but I'm not going to say anything about play. Now, at first, it triggered me for a good maybe 30 seconds. And then I put on my improv hat and I'm like, wait a second. This is data. This is excellent. This is, and I went back to him and I thanked him for the email. I said, this is wonderful. I get it. Not everyone is going to get it. I appreciate it. I'll reword things, or maybe the choice of words, as we were talking earlier, not using the word play, not using the word improv or games. But I just let it go because I want to put my energy to where it's going to happen. So, and with that, I will relanguage some words, and you kind of hide the vegetables underneath the French fries and you sneak it in there.
I like that. And John, in the same sort of spot, we're always talking around creativity. It's that very loaded word, okay? It's that very loaded word. And you hear the word innovation, risk. So I always say what we're going to teach you is going to help you come up with better solutions so you can de-risk, I guess, along those lines. Everyone feels that a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I use that word too. I like that, taking away that risk, because that's I try and focus on what the problem is. Like I'll point out the people's challenges or problems or what's not working, rather than let's go and do some games and play an improv. But here's where your problem is. Here's how I can help you get out of this. And yeah, I did with my executive team at Telstra. They were all like, ugh, we're going to do games. We're going to play. And the way I reframed it, they loved it. And in the end, they're like, oh my God, come back to my team and help do it with my team, with some of the responses from it.
So, Julie, this is now time for a thought experiment, which is where we dive into some big ideas and explore them with some deep thinking in quite a profound way. And we know you thrive on this blending of ideas, most notably that recent coining of the phrase curiosity, which is a lovely portmanteau word, which we love on the show. So this thought experiment is called Through the Portmanteau Hole.
Okay.
So slightly nautical theme there. So you
see what we did there, okay?
Yeah.
I do. I love it. It's not on the notes here.
So anyway, we've been similarly thinking about other novel ideas which can be expressed through portmanteau words. We want to see if you can guess what they are. So we're just going to read out some portmanteau words, and you're going to guess. We're going to start with something. Let's start with something easy. I'm going to start with atmosphere.
Oh, that's art outside in the park. Art outside in the park, atmosphere.
It could be that. Yeah,
I think we can pay that, John. I think we can pay that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a point?
That's a point. Yeah, it's
Is
a
that
point.
A point?
Okay.
That's a point.
Yeah.
We were going. It's and it can be a sort of ambience or mood created by a piece of art.
Okay.
The atmosphere.
Next one. All right. This is dairy imagination.
Oh, cheese art sculptures. making sculptures out of cheese.
Maybe that's half
Yes.
the point. It's half the point. No. Okay, well, the technical explanation is a combination of dairy and imagination. This word highlights the creative spirit and innovation involved in transforming milk into a wide variety of cheeses. So I think you're close enough. Yeah, I think you're close enough. Yeah.
I got cheese and
no, we'll give that.
I think you got cheese in there. I think you took it somewhere even further there, Julie, because you were starting to make things out of cheese.
Yeah.
Correct.
Probably flowers, probably floral arrangements or
Yes.
something like that.
Or
Here we go. This is a key one now. So auditorium.
God, it's like the taxes I just did today. My own auditing on my phone with a big echo. That's what I'm going to say. Doing taxes in a big room with an echo.
You are not far off, Julie.
You're very good.
Auditorium, and I have to keep doing the slight pause there, is a playful mix of audit and auditorium. And this word can refer to a venue where a comedic performance about accounting and finance take place.
Okay. Mine wasn't funny.
But it was practical.
That's what I meant.
It was practical.
It was practical.
No, I'm sure you could get people to turn up, watch you do your tax returns in a large venue.
Yeah, that could be another show.
Off Broadway.
Yeah, but auditorium made me think of an echo. So
Yeah, no,
I like this game.
Okay, next one.
More.
Toasted.
Not in a microwave.
No, correct. We have to give you 10 more seconds. I'm
just thinking a bagel in my old toaster. I can't think out of the box for this one.
Well, this is when you've
a loaf of bread.
Toasted. You've consumed marijuana and you want to make toast. Toasted.
I may or may not have had some of those nights recently.
Completely toasted, man.
So toasted.
Here we go. Let's. I think we'll have two more.
Okay. Yeah.
Is this textpectation?
Textpectation. Texting a friend and expecting them to respond immediately, or with as just as funny meme that I have sent them.
You're definitely on the right lines. It's actually here a anxious feeling whilst waiting for a reply to a text message. So yes, you're quite right. It's that sending something and then waiting for that hopefully immediate reply that gives you the adrenaline rush.
All right, so very good. You're very good at this. Outside toasted.
Yeah.
You've done very well. Now, our last one, bakefulness.
Is that close to toasted? Is that the cousin of toasted?
No, it's not. It's in the same kitchen, but it's
bakefulness. When you have made up a cake or something you've baked to give to a friend who has done something nice for you.
Well, you're in the right ballpark. We're a combination of bake and mindfulness. So describe the practice of bringing mindful awareness to the act of baking. So every time you put in the flour, you go, whew, that felt good. And each step sensation is celebrated. That's pretty much it, yeah.
Why can't my answers be correct? I mean, they're portmanteaus. Why can't my answers be correct on how I...
We're not saying they're not correct. Right. We're saying they didn't match the official version.
Official?
Yeah, the official version. Yeah.
Did you come up with these, or are they sniglets? Isn't sniglets or portmanteaus also?
Sniglets. They're even the dog knows. Even the dog knows that's the right answer. I'm surprised this didn't become an Instagram feed during lockdown. Bakefulness, people posting videos of them baking whilst being mindful.
I think toasted.
But
it's got legs.
I changed it to grateful. Bakefulness. That's where I got.
Okay, yes, that works.
Okay,
so you bake a cake for someone who's doing something nice for you.
All right, you can have the hashtag, Julie.
Possibly a lawyer.
You can have it, and you can have the description.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the fascinating thought experiment through the portmanteau hole. Okay, we're through to our rapid fire round, and we start to wrap things up. What's one thing you couldn't do without in your life right at the moment?
Hershey and air.
We are building the Occupational Philosophers Manifesto. What one thing of all your learning do you think should be included?
One of my favorite improv principles is make your partner look smart and feel good. So when you're on stage, you're going to yes and them. So I want that happening in the office space, in the boardroom, in meetings, when you're shopping. So make your partner or make others look smart and feel good.
All right. Now I'm just thinking that out because we've got about 8 words I can use because we capture these on our website. I can make that work. Okay. Now, what book should we be reading right now?
All right. I have 3. They're all from my friends that are in the improv world.
Cool.
My friend Gary Ware, Playful Rebellion.
Oh, I've heard of this one.
He talks about using play at work. It's great.
Yep.
Improv Wisdom, which goes through all of the principles of improv and how they can apply to work. And that's Patricia Ryan Madsen. That's probably about 15-year-old. And I got to meet her and I was so fangirling her.
Yeah.
So Improv Wisdom.
Roll it in.
And then the third one is another one in the AIN network, Playful Mindfulness,
Okay.
Ted Demasson. So how playing and joyful and mindfulness, a joyful journey to everyday confidence, calm, and connection.
They missed out on an opportunity for a portmanteau word there, didn't they?
Yeah. Yes.
We don't. Anyway, so look, Julie, let's imagine ourselves decades and decades from now, and you're being taken into your retirement home. It's a lovely place. I mean, you've got lovely facilities, and you're taken into the residence lounge and by the nurse, and she welcomes you into the room. She says, "Hey, everybody," and everybody looks up expectantly. She says, "This is Julie. How would you like to be introduced?"
She's the one who likes to play. She thinks she's an 8-year-old, forgetting she's actually 80.
Woohoo!
Love it. All right. To rapturous applause from everyone in the room. So look, what are you up to next? What cool things have you got on the horizon between now and the next 12 months or similar?
So I'm looking to do more of my workshops. And with accelerators, universities, I can even turn it into a whole university class. We have just been accepted into South by Southwest Sydney, the show that I've been producing, directing, Whose Startup Is It Anyway? Which is, it's Shark Tank meets Whose Line Is It Anyway? And it is so much fun. And it's teaching founders and investors and everyone to think on their feet and to have a little bit more fun with the whole pitching and your stale startup events. Great founders, a lot of games that we have designed and come up with. One of them is called Startups from a Fishbowl. And it's just been a lot of fun. So we're excited to do that. And I'd love to do that show a lot more. And it can be modified for any kind of sector. Banking, whose bank is it anyway? Whose, financial learnings is it anyway? So whatever, we can modify it. It's just, it makes those panels or having to hear from ministers a little bit more fun and entertaining.
Yeah, very cool. And I've seen some good things with this online as well.
Where can we find you, Julie? How do we connect with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Julie Trell, the one in Australia. I think the other Julie Trell got married, so I'm the only one. You can find me at playfulpurpose.com. And I know that there's other questions. I'm in Paddington, Sydney, Australia, but I definitely would love to go global with all of these things and workshops. If you want to take me out for a drink, Tequila Mockingbird, talking about fun words and names.
Hey, like it.
When we have guests on, we always reach out to our audience and we say, we've got a guest about play, send in your letters. So we often have a letters to the editor section, and I'd like to read them out to you and see what you can suggest. So our first one is, inspired by being more playful at work, I snuck into the CEO's office and glued together every page of the board report and covered his desk in shaving cream. I'm now facing a disciplinary hearing. What would you suggest? This is from Susan Radford in Surrey Hills in Sydney, not too far from you. Far away.
That's a tough one. I mean, the feedback would be, you don't mess with the CEO's board paper. As you own it. So this is one that you do have to own it, recognize it was not a smart thing to do. Pray to God it wasn't the only copy of the board report.
Okay, so Susan, that's hopefully enough advice to get you through. Appreciating there was some good intent. All right, our next one is we recently started a weekly playful game of office chair roller derby. Last week, 3 people broke a bone and are off work for 3 to 4 weeks. Since then, the social club has been disbanded, which feels like a real play killer in air quotes. What steps would you take to rectify this? From Kieran Blythe Smithson from Clerkenwell in London.
Well, the broken bones sound like an unfortunate lesson, something learned from playing these games. Again, own it, own the mistake, and learning about how else can you redesign games where they're not going to be dangerous? And recognizing, using the joy that you get from the games, from the playing, from the connectiveness, what other ways can you connect so you're not losing that playful, joyful work time?
All right, Kieran. So I hope that's some good advice. And last message which has come in. For a playful laugh, we thought we would all sit with our backs to the camera in a recent meeting and only respond with the sound of our spirit animal. Mine is a wild duck, Susan's is a warthog, and Gary is a hyena, and so forth. We're all now on a performance management plan. How might we enable HR to understand this was just a lot of fun and this was really crushed the fun vibe in the office? This is from Jiggy, Handenberg, Fitzroy, Melbourne, Victoria.
Are they hiring? Because that sounds like a fun team to work with. It's unfortunate about HR that they were coloring outside the lines. So what are they looking for? How to get out of the performance?
They're on a performance management plan for their Zoom play. Behavior.
That's unfortunate because if they're performing, they shouldn't be on a PIP. Is it not? I don't know. Performance improvement plan, performance management.
Yeah, look, maybe let's say it's a PIP. They're on a PIP. Yeah.
They're on a PIP. Yeah. So it all depends if their performance has been bad. I think that's adding some levity and information to a fun activity.
All right. So, Jiggy, I think if I'm saying that right, you've got a little bit of the names these days.
Reframe it.
You can go with.
Here. I have an answer.
Right.
I have an answer. I think you should respond to HR, writing an explanation, a why with an apology in iambic pentameter in the voice and persona of the hyena, duck, and what was the other one? Warthog. So write an iambic pentameter poem as an apology and explanation to HR. You may use ChatGPT.
All right. So hopefully we've solved some of those play challenges, and looking forward to our next letters to the editor, which is always interesting to hear from our wonderful guests. Look, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for coming on our show, and nice to have someone from the other side of the world, but who is a local in Australia as well, and have such interesting stories from starting off in the world of teaching into the corporate world and startups, and working with. I love your story of a little unknown startup at the time called Salesforce to get it on that, and what an interesting journey you have, and to see your joy for play. And you live that life as well, which is so interesting and joyful to be part of. So thank you for having us on your show as you wave your fairy wand as well.
My magic wand. Yeah. Thank you for having me on your show. I am so excited. This was so much fun. I wish all podcasts could be like this and do the work that you've done and the games that you play. By far my favorite one.
Oh, too kind.
Fantastic. Too kind. Yes, we'll take that. That's very kind. Absolute delight. Thank you, Julie. And if you're ever this side of the world, obviously, then please do get in touch and we'll get some tequila mockingbirds.
Yes.
Hey, Simon. Lovely show and chat there with Julie. As ever, we just tried to distill some of the things that really caught our ear. what were some of the takeaways for you?
So many. One, I just want an acknowledgement for making the flowers out of the toilet rolls, and these look really cool. Like, these are not what any of the picture you've got in your head. I don't think so. I love just that. Yeah, just being, the whole idea of play. I think it just sits right there. Couple of things. I really liked how.
I should just say on that, Simon, that it's encouraging me. I think I need to go to the toilet a lot more because I've got a bouquet I need to put together for Leslie by the end of the week.
So get busy, eat bran. A couple of things I liked. I liked how she gives thanks by calling out all the mentors she's had. So one, that whole sense of curiosity, but I thought it's I've seen these on LinkedIn quite regularly, how she gives praise and thanks and that gratitude to people who've made an impact in life. What a nice way to send some good vibes out into the world. Now, I also like that she said fun is a side effect of play, but the bigger effect is being in that flow. So when you're in that flow and you can do your best work, fun and other things are the side effect, because I think it can often get lost in the translation. Not get lost in translation. We think, it's all about, fun or something. Like when we say creativity, people get scared, so play is just so much more than that playful approach. And I also like that one around of, in the world of applied improv, someone gives you something, it's a gift, you give it back and you continue with it. So just some really, really simple principles there to help conversations flow as well. What about you? What jumped out?
Leading off of what you were saying about play, I liked how she was saying that, play is a highly sophisticated process. And just thinking as you're working into organizations to have that in mind, that play is simply a process. It could be a facilitated process. It could be part mindset, part process. But nonetheless, don't underestimate the fact that it's quite sophisticated. Yeah. It allows people to engage in ideas and think their way through scenarios and problems or designs in a way that's as sophisticated as they come. And then just in those moments where you are working together, whether that's in a playful environment or in a play process, to make sure that you're there to make others look smart and feel good. Yeah. Again, a principle of improv, which is just to say, look, we can build on each other's ideas. We don't have to sort of cut them off at the knees. And listening to people to the point where she said that being heard is indistinguishable from being loved. So let's get some love.
I like that, yeah.
Some love in the workplace.
I love it.
And you'll often hear that, isn't it? Listening is one thing, but someone at the other end of that feeling heard is massively different. So I think that's a nice little reminder to how we might engage with our colleagues, peers, and in our work.
And kids as well. I'm just thinking,
So
my kids, why does no one listen to me? Stop shouting, arsehole.
Yeah. Yes. Bring this into every area and facet of our lives with all of those people close to us.
All right. So let's wrap this one up, John. What's our, call to action at the end?
Call to action, as ever, is if you've liked the show, like what you hear, and think someone else might like it, well, then let them know. You can subscribe and you can leave us a review, which is always lovely. You can rate us and leave a review. It's always good to see and helps get the word out there and sort of bring more people into this community. You can check us out on occupationalphilosophers.com. You can get in touch if there's any ideas on guests or topics we might explore, then please do let us know.
And that's on the website.
And I think that's it.
As well, where you can get in touch.
It is on the website.
Now, so as always, we say, as you leave here today, make stuff, have fun, play more, stay curious. And, John, what is it? Shit.
Remember your lines.
Note to self.
And date life.